What's up, you guys? It's Martin here, and today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of living on residence at university. This is going to be based off of my first year living in Ontario Hall at Western University. So, how I'm going to organize this video is that I'm going to share one pro followed by one con, for a total of 6 points. So, 3 pros and 3 cons altogether. Before I get into the video, I want to say thank you guys for 100 subscribers. It's pretty exciting news, and I hope to continue to put out useful content for you guys. And with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Now, the first pro I want to mention is that it's easier to make friends. Now, this one was quite a big deal for me because personally it's hard for me to get out there and talk to people because I'm quite introverted. And because we all live together in the same building, it makes it easier to talk to the same people over and over again because there's so much potential for repeat interactions. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to make friends when you're not living on res, but I feel like you get very close to the people that you meet on residence because you're physically closer to them and you can talk to them any time of the day. And overall, living on residence just reduces the friction of making friends, I guess, and will kind of help you smooth the transition into finding a friend group in your new college or university life. Now, one thing that I didn't find so good about res is that it's expensive. And the fact that you really pay a premium for the convenience of the cafeteria and the experience that you have being close to so many people. And if you're interested in knowing about the expenses that university has, leave that in the comments down below, and I'll get to doing that in a future video. Basically, the first con is that it's pretty pricey and it might not be affordable for everyone, but it was worth it for me because I was lucky enough to have my parents pay for that for me. Either way, it's still really expensive, but it's at a price for convenience and the whole experience. So moving along to our second pro is that you get to learn about others' lives and lifestyle, which can be a very eye-opening experience, which can teach you how to conduct yourself better around others. And because you're living with roommates or other people, you learn to be more considerate and patient with them in the process. And this is a really important thing to learn because dealing with people is honestly one of the most important skills that you can learn in your life. Whether that be splitting the responsibilities, like taking out the trash or whatnot. I felt like this was a really invaluable experience to have, and it really taught me to be more patient with others, and overall I really think it improved the way I conduct myself around people. So that's a really big plus. Now, the second downside of living on res for me was the fact that it could get quite loud. You're all living in the same building, and sometimes when you want to sleep, others don't know that, and sometimes they can really be quite disturbing. For me, I kind of got lucky that I was in the first floor of Ontario Hall, so it was kind of quiet relative to other places in the building. But there was this one week where my roommate was showing me no mercy. He was really tearing it up there and terrorizing my dreams with his snoring. But then again, this comes with the point of learning how to adapt to living with others. And honestly, I didn't really get mad at him because it really wasn't his fault and he couldn't really control it since he had nasal congestion because he was sick that week. But that's just something else to watch out for. But in the end, it was a good experience because it taught me to be patient with others. And I was very surprised to see that I wasn't even mad at him. Now, the third pro about living on res is that it's convenient. And in that, I mean that you can save time by not having the responsibility to cook. And you don't have that big of a responsibility to clean all the time because your room is cleaned bi-weekly. That doesn't mean you don't have to clean anything, but it just means you have to do less. Now, this might not be a good thing for some people who need to develop the skill of cooking or develop the discipline to do their chores regularly. But for me, I just think that this saves time, and I already have a good habit of keeping things clean, and I already learned how to cook earlier in high school, so I don't think that was that big of a deal for me. But saving time is really important, especially when you're trying to adapt to new college or university life and you're taking on more and more club activities, that you might not have enough time to make good meals. So having residents save you time with cooking and cleaning is really where that premium price tag comes into play. So I guess in a sense, it is worth paying to save a bit of time. So that's pro number 3. Now, the third downside I can find about living on res is that your experience may vary. On one hand, you hear horror stories about roommates never cleaning up and leaving a mess in their rooms and not cleaning up common areas. And if you get unlucky with roommate matching, you might have this happen to you. Seeing that is not to scare you, but in the end, it's your responsibility to have fun and make the most out of res. Even if you're with really bad roommates, it's also a really crucial opportunity that you can take to learn a little bit more about yourself and how to deal with situations like this in the future. Now, for me, I got really lucky and I was rooming with 3 other people that I knew from high school. Now, I didn't know them well, but through this residence experience, I got to know each of them quite a bit better. And it was really fun being roommates with them. And even though we didn't get along perfectly at first, it was a really fun learning experience in which we were all patient with each other and were being reasonable. So I feel like even if you don't get along super well at first, you can always find ways to reason and adapt to each other. I remember in the first 2 or 3 weeks, I would always lock my door because I just wanted to focus on working. But over time, the door was just never locked and we were just walking into each other's room and chilling. So I guess that's what residence does, and it's a pretty good experience in the end. Unless you want to count con number 4, and that's if your roommates have weak spice tolerance.
He's actually sweating! He's fine. Oh, he doesn't look fine. This man's still sweating.
Oh,
Turn this way.
oh shit! Yeah! Oh, that's so spicy!
Nah, I'm just kidding. But overall, 3 pros of living on residence were that it's easier to make friends, you get to learn how to be patient with others through learning about their lifestyles, and how not everybody is raised the same way as you. And the third one is that it's convenient and it saves time for you, which leaves you more time to do your other things like studying and definitely not procrastinating. But the downsides of res is that it's expensive, it can get quite loud, and your experience may vary. But overall, I think it's a positive experience, and with the right mindset and perception, these cons aren't really a big deal in the end. Like if res is too expensive, you can cut back on eating out a bit just to save enough money to pay it off in the future. And just know that making the most out of your residence experience in the end is up to you. And that's about it for this video. If you haven't already, smash that like button and hit subscribe to see more content like this. And that's about it for me. See you.